47, 48, 49. I counted every single one of my husband's punches while 20 people stood in our living room and watched him try to kill me. 20 witnesses, 20 people who could have helped, 20 people who didn't move because they weren't guests at our housewarming party. They were FBI agents. My name is Rebecca Shepard, and this is the story of the night my perfect marriage exploded in front of federal investigators. The night I discovered that my charming husband was a criminal. The night I learned our friendly new neighbors were undercover agents. The night everything I thought I knew turned out to be a lie. But this isn't just a story about violence. It's about the 87 punches that led to 40 years in prison, about the friend who saved my life by calling the FBI 6 months earlier, about fighting for my unborn daughter while the world watched, and about discovering that survival isn't just about getting out alive. It's about learning who you become when you finally choose yourself. I was 7 months pregnant when my husband beat me unconscious. My daughter Hope is 1 year old now, and between those two moments lies a story of witnesses, justice, and the power of speaking up when staying silent feels safer. This is what happened when private abuse became public evidence, when a room full of federal agents documented every moment of my worst night, and when I finally understood that the most dangerous person in my life wasn't a stranger. He was the man I'd promised to love forever. Stay with me. This story matters, because somewhere someone is counting punches and thinking they're alone. They need to know that witnesses exist, that escape is possible, that survival is real. Let's begin. 47, 48. I counted every single one of my husband's punches while a room full of people watched him try to kill me. His fist connected with my cheekbone. The crack echoed across the living room. Someone's champagne glass shattered on the hardwood floor. Derek had insisted I keep spotless. The bubbles mixed with my blood. I tasted copper and fear. 49. My hands covered my pregnant belly. 7 months, 30 weeks exactly. The baby kicked frantically inside me. Desperate little movements that said she knew. Even unborn, she understood her mother was in danger. 50. Not one person helped me. 20 guests stood frozen in our living room. 20 witnesses to my husband beating me unconscious at our housewarming party. Some held drinks, some held phones. I saw camera flashes. Someone was recording this, but nobody moved. Derek's breathing came ragged and hot against my face. His cologne mixed with whiskey. The same cologne I'd loved when we first met. Now it just smelled like violence waiting to happen. 51. Please, I whispered. My lips were split. The word came out broken. The baby, please. He hit me again. I'd known something would set him off tonight. It always did. I just hadn't known what, or when, or how bad it would be this time. Before we left for the party, I checked my reflection 40 times. Hair perfect in the loose waves he preferred. Dress fitted enough he wouldn't call me frumpy, loose enough to hide the bruises from last week. Makeup covering the yellow-green under my eye from 2 weeks ago. Foundation layered thick where his fingers had dug into my jaw 3 days ago. I'd gotten good at this. Too good. The dress was navy blue because he hated red, said it made me look like I wanted attention. The heels were 2 inches, not 3, because he didn't like me taller. My grandmother's sapphire necklace because he'd bought it for me after the first time, after he'd apologized for hours, after he'd cried and sworn he'd never hurt me again. I wore his apologies around my neck. Behave tonight, he'd whispered at the door before the first guests arrived. His hand squeezed my arm. Not hard enough to bruise. He'd learned to be more careful about where he left marks. Don't embarrass me. I won't, I'd promised. I always promised. The party had started well. Derek played the perfect host, charming smile, firm handshakes. He worked the room like a politician. Our new neighbors, Laura and Marcus Cooper, brought expensive wine. Ray, the freelance consultant from 2 doors down, complimented our home. Derek's colleague from work told stories that made everyone laugh. I'd laugh too, that was my mistake. Derek's colleague Marcus had been describing a disastrous client meeting. Something about a PowerPoint presentation that accidentally included photos from someone's vacation instead of quarterly reports. Beach photos appearing during a board meeting. It was genuinely funny. I laughed, really laughed. The first genuine laugh in months. It burst out of me before I could stop it. Relief and joy mixing together. For 30 seconds, I forgot to be careful. Derek's face changed. I knew that look. The way his jaw tightened. The way his eyes went flat and cold. The way his smile stayed frozen while everything behind it turned murderous. His fingers dug into my shoulder. "Excuse us," he said through clenched teeth. The room kept talking. Nobody noticed his grip. Nobody saw how my smile disappeared. Nobody heard my sharp intake of breath. He pulled me toward the hallway, away from the guests, toward the stairs. I knew what happened when we went upstairs. I knew what those closed doors hid. "Derek, please," I tried to pull away. "Not here, not in front of everyone." That's when his fist connected the first time. The sound was different than I expected. Softer, like meat hitting a cutting board. My head snapped back. Stars exploded across my vision. I stumbled, caught myself on the wall. The party noise stopped. Time did something strange. Stretched out, every second lasting an hour. I could hear everything. The ice maker in the kitchen. Someone's phone buzzing. My own heartbeat thundering in my ears. The baby's frantic movements inside me. Derek hit me again. This time I fell. My knees hit the hardwood. I curled forward, protecting my belly. Always protecting my belly. That was all that mattered now. Not me, just the baby. "You think that's funny?" Derek's voice came from somewhere above me. "You laughing at me?" "No, Derek, no, I wasn't." He kicked me. His dress shoe connected with my ribs. The air left my lungs. I couldn't breathe, couldn't scream, could only count. 3, 4, 5. Through the pain, through the fear, some part of my brain stayed detached. Clinical, counting each impact, documenting. Because if I survived this, someone would ask. A doctor, a police officer. Someone would want to know exactly how many times. So I counted. The guests still hadn't moved. I could see them through the spots dancing across my vision. 20 people standing in our living room. 20 witnesses, their faces blurred together. Shock, horror, fear, but not one person stepped forward. Not yet. 10, 11, 12. Derek grabbed my hair, pulled my head back. I saw the crown molding he'd insisted on installing last month. White against cream walls, perfect corners, perfect home, perfect life. All lies. "I gave you everything." His spit hit my face, everything. "And this is how you repay me?" I didn't answer, couldn't answer. My mouth filled with blood. 15, 16, 17. The baby kicked again, strong, insistent. "I'm here, Mama. I'm still here." "I'm sorry," I whispered to her, not to Derek, to the baby girl I hadn't met yet. "I'm so sorry." 20, 21, 22. A woman's voice cut through the haze. "Derek, stop." The voice was calm, authoritative, not screaming, not pleading, just a simple command. Derek's fist froze mid-swing, hung in the air between us. I turned my head, saw Laura Cooper stepping forward. Our new neighbor, the woman who'd moved in 2 months ago with her husband Marcus, the one who'd brought over coffee and cookies, who'd asked about Derek's work schedule, who'd become my only friend in this isolated suburban prison Derek had created. Laura moved with purpose, not rushed, not hesitant, like she'd done this before. "You need to step back," Laura said, now. Derek's confusion registered on his face. "Who the hell do you think?" "Step back." 3 other guests moved, converged from different corners of the room. Marcus Cooper, Ray from down the street, a woman I didn't recognize who'd been standing near the kitchen. They positioned themselves with practiced precision, strategic, like pieces on a chessboard. Derek looked around, saw them closing in. His face transformed from rage to confusion to something else. Recognition. Fear. "Who the hell are you people?" Laura reached into her purse, pulled out a leather wallet, flipped it open. A gold badge caught the light. "FBI, get on the ground, hands behind your head." The world tilted sideways. FBI, our neighbors were FBI. The people I'd invited into my home were federal agents. More badges appeared. Marcus showed his. Ray showed his. The woman by the kitchen. All of them. Badges everywhere. This wasn't a party, it was a sting operation. And I'd been the bait without knowing it. Derek didn't get on the ground. "This is my house," he snarled. "My wife. You can't just—" Agent Ray Foster tackled him. Professional. Clean. One moment Derek was standing. The next he was face down on the floor. His nose hit the hardwood with a satisfying crack. Blood poured from his nostrils. Stained the floor he'd made me scrub on my hands and knees last Tuesday because he'd seen a water spot. "You're under arrest for assault and battery," Ray said. His knee pressed into Derek's spine. "Witnessed by multiple federal agents. You have the right to remain silent." I couldn't process what was happening. My brain refused to connect the pieces. FBI agents at my party? Undercover? For how long? Why? Laura knelt beside me. Her face transformed from neighbor to something else. Professional concern. Official duty. "Becca, I'm Agent Laura Brennan. You're safe now. Can you tell me if the baby's moving?" My hands went to my belly, felt for movement. "Please move. Please be okay. Please." A kick. Weak but there. "Thank God. Thank God." "Yes," I whispered. "She's moving." "Good. That's good. Paramedics are already on the way. We had them staged 2 blocks over. Just in case." Just in case. They'd planned for this. Expected violence. Had emergency services ready and waiting. Which meant they'd known. Known Derek was dangerous. Known he might hurt me. And they'd let it happen anyway. "I don't understand." My voice sounded distant, like someone else was speaking. "You're FBI?" "Yes, I'm sorry we couldn't tell you." Laura's hand gripped mine. "We've been investigating your husband for wire fraud and racketeering. We moved in next door 2 months ago to conduct surveillance." 2 months. 8 weeks of coffee dates where I'd poured my heart out. Told her about the miscarriage last year, about Derek's temper, about how he controlled every penny I spent, about my loneliness. I'd thought she cared. She'd been building a case. More agents revealed themselves. 20 guests, 20 federal agents, all watching, all witnessing, all documenting Derek's assault for evidence. "Get off me!" Derek screamed from the floor. "This is entrapment, police brutality. I'll sue every one of you." "You assaulted your pregnant wife in front of 20 FBI agents," Marcus Cooper said. His voice had changed too. No longer friendly neighbor, now cold, clinical. "While we were conducting a legal surveillance operation with proper warrants. That's not entrapment. That's called getting caught." Sirens wailed outside. Getting closer. The paramedics Laura had mentioned, staged and ready. Like this whole night had been choreographed. Like my pain had been anticipated and planned for. I'd been so lonely I mistook surveillance for friendship. I'd told Laura everything over coffee at my kitchen table. The miscarriage, Derek's temper, how he monitored my phone, how he wouldn't let me work. How my family lived 3 states away, and he'd convinced me visiting them was too expensive. I thought she cared about me. She was gathering evidence against him. The front door burst open. Paramedics rushed in with a stretcher. A woman with kind eyes and efficient hands examined me quickly. "Pregnant, 7 months, multiple facial injuries, possible broken ribs. We need to transport immediately." They loaded me onto the stretcher. My body felt disconnected, like a puppet with cut strings. I couldn't stop shaking. Shock setting in, the adrenaline wearing off, reality crashing down. Laura held my hand. "Marcus, ride with Bear. I'll handle the scene." Derek screamed as they hauled him upright. Handcuffs cut into his wrists. Blood covered his face from his broken nose. His expensive shirt torn. Hair disheveled. Looking nothing like the polished businessman who'd charmed everyone earlier. "She's lying," he shouted. "She provoked me. This is a setup. You entrapped me." "Sir, we have body camera footage from 6 different angles," another agent said. His name tag read Foster. "We documented 87 punches over the course of 4 minutes. Your wife never fought back. She only tried to protect her unborn child. There's no provocation that justifies attempted murder." 87, I'd stopped counting at 50, lost track somewhere in the middle. 87 times my husband had chosen violence over restraint. 87 times he'd tried to kill me and our baby. "She embarrassed me," Derek's voice cracked. Desperate now. In front of guests, she laughed at me. She laughed at someone else's joke, Laura said, her voice cut through his hysteria. And even if she'd laughed directly at you, that doesn't give you the right to beat her unconscious. The paramedics wheeled me toward the door, past the overturned champagne glasses, past the blood on the floor, past the 20 federal agents who'd watched a pregnant woman get beaten and waited. Waited until they had enough evidence. Waited until they could make the charges stick. Marcus Cooper climbed into the ambulance beside me. No longer the friendly neighbor who'd helped Derek install our new grill last month. Now Agent Cooper, federal investigator, someone who'd been watching us, watching me, gathering evidence while I lived in hell. Becca, his voice was gentle, too gentle. Guilt edged every word. We've been investigating Derek for wire fraud and racketeering for 18 months. We had evidence he was embezzling from clients, funneling money through shell companies. We moved agents into your neighborhood to gather more evidence for a larger case. 18 months. Derek's crimes had been known for a year and a half. They'd watched. They'd planned. They'd built their pond while I'd been married to a criminal without knowing it. We didn't know, Marcus continued. His voice cracked slightly. We didn't know he was violent. We had suspicions. Laura noted your injuries during coffee dates. But we didn't have proof until tonight. I'm sorry we couldn't prevent this. The ambulance doors closed. Sirens wailed. The vehicle lurched forward. Through the small window, I saw our house. Our perfect suburban home with its perfect lawn and perfect exterior, hiding perfect horror. Blue and red lights painted everything in harsh colors. More police cars arrived. Crime scene tape. Neighbors gathering on lawns. Phones out, recording, documenting. My private nightmare becoming public spectacle. My vision blurred. Edges going dark. Shock pulling me under. The last thought I had before losing consciousness was simple and devastating. They came for his crimes. They got mine instead. Bright lights, beeping machines, the chemical smell of disinfectant. I opened my eyes to white ceiling tiles and fluorescent fixtures. Emergency room. She's waking up. A woman's voice, professional, calm. Becca, can you hear me? I'm Dr. Sarah Mitchell. You're at St. Catherine's Hospital. You're safe. Safe. The word felt foreign, like a language I used to speak but had forgotten. The baby. My voice came out raw, damaged. Is the baby? We're checking you now. Hold still. This might be cold. Cold gel on my swollen belly, hands moving efficiently, then the most beautiful sound in the world. A heartbeat. Strong, steady, fast like a hummingbird's wings. Alive. The baby was alive. I started crying. Couldn't stop. Relief and fear and grief all pouring out at once. Strong heartbeat, Dr. Mitchell said. Excellent fetal movement. Your daughter is a fighter, Becca. Daughter, she knew. Somehow in all the chaos, someone had told her. Or maybe she'd checked my chart. The ultrasound from 2 weeks ago where Derek had refused to come. Said he was too busy. Later I'd found hotel receipts. Business trip, he'd claimed. We need to examine you now. Can you tell me where you're hurt? Everywhere. Everything hurt. My face throbbed. My ribs screamed with each breath. My back felt like someone had beaten it with a hammer. Oh, someone had. My face, my ribs, my back. Each word cost me. He kicked me. When I fell, he kept kicking. Dr. Mitchell's jaw tightened. She'd seen this before. I wasn't her first domestic violence case. Probably wouldn't be her last. The examination was thorough, gentle but methodical. Fractured cheekbone, broken rib. Severe bruising across my back and torso. Possible internal bleeding that required monitoring. How many weeks pregnant are you? 30 weeks. And this isn't your first time in an ER, is it? Her question hung in the air. I said nothing. That was answer enough. Dr. Mitchell pulled up my medical records on her tablet. Her expression darkened as she scrolled. 3 ER visits in 18 months. Different hospitals each time. She read from the screen. 18 months ago, laceration requiring stitches. Stated cause, fell downstairs. 12 months ago, severe abdominal trauma resulting in miscarriage. Stated cause, car accident. 6 months ago, dislocated shoulder. Stated cause, tripped over dog. She looked at me. You don't have a dog, Becca. I'd forgotten that lie, forgotten which excuse I'd given to which hospital. The stories blurred together after a while. I always parked far from the ER entrance, sat in the car practicing my story, making it believable. Changing details. Never the same hospital twice. I thought I was clever. I was just predictable. Every abused woman told the same lies. Doctors knew, nurses knew. We thought we were fooling them. We were only fooling ourselves. The morphine will kick in soon, Dr. Mitchell said. Her voice was kind but firm. You're going to feel drowsy. That's normal. We're keeping you overnight for observation, both you and the baby. The morphine spread through my veins, warm, heavy, the pain dulled to something manageable. My thoughts started drifting, loosening, memories surfacing unbidden. Our wedding, Derek crying during his vows. I'll protect you forever, he'd promised, his voice thick with emotion, his eyes shining. I'd believed every word. That man disappeared 6 months after the wedding. Or maybe he'd never existed. Maybe I'd married a performance, a carefully crafted illusion designed to trap me. The real Derek had been waiting underneath, patient, calculated, ready to emerge once I was committed. Once leaving became complicated. First shove, month 4, an argument about visiting my mother. His hands on my shoulders. The push. I'd stumbled backward, caught myself on the kitchen counter. He'd apologized for hours, brought me coffee in bed the next morning. I'm so sorry, baby. Work stress. It won't happen again, I promise. I believed him because I needed to. 2 months later, the first slap. Month 6. I'd contradicted him at dinner with his parents, mentioned he'd gotten a detail wrong about his college graduation. Small thing, insignificant, but his mother had laughed. That night, alone in our bedroom, his hand had connected with my face. The shock of it, the burn, the way my ear rang for hours afterward. He'd cried, actually cried. God, Becca, what have I done? I'm a monster. You should leave me. You deserve better. But he didn't mean it. If he'd meant it, he would have let me go. Instead, he'd bought me my grandmother's sapphire necklace, the one I'd mentioned once, months earlier, from an estate sale I'd seen advertised. He'd tracked it down, purchased it, presented it like a peace offering. I wore that necklace tonight, his apology around my throat. Month 12, the worst before tonight. A push down the stairs. I was pregnant, 12 weeks. We just told his parents. His mother had been thrilled. His father had shaken Derek's hand, said he was proud. That night, Derek and I fought about something. Money. My mother. I couldn't remember now. All the fights blurred together. He'd shoved me. Top of the stairs. I'd fallen, tumbled, crashed into the wall at the landing. The bleeding started that night. By morning, the baby was gone. Derek had held me in the hospital, stroked my hair. I'm so sorry. I'll never hurt you again. Never, I swear on our child's grave. I'd believed him because grief makes you stupid. Because I needed someone to blame besides myself. Because accepting that my husband had killed our baby was too horrible to face, so I'd blamed the fall, blamed bad luck, blamed Dahan, blamed anything except the truth. When I got pregnant again, I was terrified. Couldn't tell Derek for 6 weeks. When I finally did, he'd seemed happy, said all the right things. This is our second chance, our miracle. I'll be better this time. I promise. For a while he was. The violence decreased, became psychological instead of physical, control replacing bruises, financial abuse instead of fists. He wouldn't let me work. You need to rest, focus on the baby, but really focus on staying home, staying isolated, staying dependent. He monitored my phone, for your safety, but really to see who I talked to make sure I wasn't planning to leave, to keep me trapped. He moved us to this house. Better neighborhood, good schools for when the baby comes, but really farther from my family, farther from friends, farther from anyone who might help. Then the violence returned. Month 7 of pregnancy, a slap because dinner was cold. Month 8, a shove because I'd mentioned feeling tired. Month 9, tonight, 87 punches because I'd laughed at someone else's joke. The baby kicked inside me, bringing me back to the present, away from the memories. Her movements were strong, insistent. "I'm still here, Mama. We're still here." "I'm sorry," I whispered, tears streaming down my swollen face. "I'm so sorry I didn't protect you better." The door opened. Grace burst in. My best friend, the only person from my old life Derek hadn't managed to drive away completely. Grace took one look at my face and started crying. Oh God, Becca." She rushed to my bedside, grabbed my hand. Her whole body shook with sobs. "I called them," she choked out. "Becca, I called the FBI." The room tilted. "What?" "6 months ago, I noticed something was wrong with Derek's business. The money didn't make sense. Too much, too fast. I did some research, found connections to shell companies, money laundering. I called the FBI tip line." Grace's words tumbled out, fast, desperate, like a confession she'd been holding for months. "Agent Brennan contacted me, asked me to help establish a cover. I told them about the abuse, about your injuries. They promised they'd keep you safe, that monitoring Derek would protect you." She squeezed my hand. "They promised, Becca. They said surveillance would prevent escalation, that having agents nearby would keep you safe. I thought," her voice broke, "I thought I was helping." The pieces clicked into place, the new neighbors appearing right after Grace had visited, Laura's interest in Derek's schedule, the way Ray always seemed to be jogging past at strategic times, all of it orchestrated, all of it planned, and Grace had been the one who set it in motion. "You saved my life," I said. Grace looked up, confusion replacing guilt. "What?" "You're the only one who tried to save me. You saw what I was hiding and you acted. You called for help when I couldn't. But they let him hurt you. They waited. You didn't wait. You called. That's what matters." We sat in silence, except for the machines beeping, Grace stroking my hair like we were teenagers again, like we were back in her mother's basement watching movies and planning futures that didn't include violent husbands and broken promises. "I'm not going back," I said, "to him, to that house, to that life. I'm done." "Good," Grace whispered. "You should have left years ago, but I'm glad you are leaving now." The door opened again. Agent Brennan, no longer dressed for a party, now in FBI jacket and tactical gear. Her expression was grim. "Becca, Derek made bail 2 hours ago." The heart monitor beside me spiked. Alarm started beeping. "He's out?" My voice rose. Panic flooding in. "How? How is he out?" "His mother put up her house as collateral. The magistrate judge granted bail before we could present all the domestic violence evidence. He can't contact you. There's a restraining order, but he knows where I am." Terror clawed up my throat. "He knows this hospital. He knows Grace's apartment. He knows everywhere I could go." "We have security posted," Laura said quickly, "both here and at Grace's building. He won't get near you, I promise." Her promises meant nothing. The FBI had promised to keep me safe before. Look how that turned out. "He's going to kill me," I said. Calm, certain. The most dangerous time for an abused woman is when she leaves. Statistics don't lie. He's out there. He's angry. And he's coming for me. Laura's face hardened. "Then we'll be ready." 3 days in the hospital, 3 days of tests and monitoring and watching the door, 3 days of jumping at every sound, every footstep, every voice in the hallway that might be Derek coming to finish what he started. The baby kicked constantly, like she knew her mother was afraid, like she was trying to reassure me. "We're okay, Mama. We're still here." Agent Brennan visited twice daily, brought information I didn't want but needed to hear. "Derek's been funneling money through shell companies for 3 years," she explained. "Spread papers across my hospital bed, financial records, bank statements, evidence of systematic theft. He's embezzled approximately $5 million from 18 different clients. 5 million. The number didn't seem real. We lived in a nice house, but not that nice. Drove good cars, but not luxury vehicles. Derek claimed moderate success, but nothing extraordinary. Where's the money, I asked. Offshore accounts, cryptocurrency, real estate investments under shell company names. He's been preparing for this, building an escape fund. I stared at the papers. Names I recognize. Yeah. Henderson from Derek's firm. She'd sent us a Christmas card last year. Talked about her late husband's life insurance paying for her retirement. Mrs. Henderson? I pointed at her name. She lost money? 300,000, her entire retirement savings. Nausea rolled through me, not from my injuries, from guilt. I'd been married to a man who stole from widows. I'd smiled at that Christmas card, sent one back, been complicit without knowing. I thought he was having an affair, I said quietly. All the late nights, the business trips, the secretive phone calls. An affair seemed like the worst thing possible. Laura's expression softened. An affair would have been better. An affair would have been simpler. I touched my bruised face. He was a criminal. I was married to a stranger who stole millions and beat his pregnant wife, and I had no idea. He was careful, covered his tracks. The only reason we found him was a client who got suspicious and hired a forensic accountant. That accountant found irregularities and contacted the FBI. We've been building the case since. 18 months. While I'd been trying to manage Derek's moods and hide bruises and survive, the FBI had been watching. Gathering evidence, building a case, using me as bait without telling me. You could have warned me. The anger was quiet but deep. You moved in next door, befriended me, asked about his schedule. You knew he was a criminal. You could have told me to leave. Laura's professional mask cracked. You're right, we should have. We prioritized the investigation over your safety. That was wrong. Why? I needed to understand. Why wait? Why not arrest him sooner? We wanted the complete network. Derek wasn't working alone. He had partners. We needed to identify everyone involved, arrest them simultaneously. If we'd taken Derek early, the others would have scattered, destroyed evidence, disappeared. So I was collateral damage in a bigger case. Laura didn't deny it. Yes, and I'm sorry for that. I became an FBI agent to protect people. Instead, I watched you get hurt and did nothing. I failed you as a woman while succeeding as an agent. Her honesty was startling. No justifications, no excuses, just admission of failure. The assault changes everything, she continued. We have 20 witnesses, body camera footage from 6 angles, medical evidence. This is the most documented domestic violence case in state history. Derek will go to prison, not just for wire fraud, for attempted murder. His mother called me a liar. I'd been avoiding thinking about Victoria Walsh's visit yesterday. Derek's mother in designer clothes and judgment, standing at my hospital room door, demanding to know what I'd done to provoke her son. What did you do to make him so angry? Victoria had asked. Not how are you, not is the baby okay, just blame. Immediate, reflexive, defensive. Mrs. Walsh, 20 FBI agents witnessed your son attempt to murder his pregnant wife, Laura had said, stepping between us. Protective. There's no provocation that justifies 87 punches. Derek has anger issues because of stress, Victoria had replied, voice clipped, cold. His father was the same way. I learned how to manage it. Rebecca is too sensitive. The generational abuse laid bare. Derek learned violence from his father. Victoria learned acceptance from necessity. And both expected me to do the same. Learn, adapt, survive, never leave, never speak up, never break the cycle. You could be charged as an accessory, Laura had said, if you helped Derek hide assets or knew about his criminal activities. Victoria's face had paled. She'd left without another word, but not before announcing Derek had hired the best defense attorneys money could buy, that they'd prove FBI overreach, entrapment, that Derek would walk free and I'd be the one facing consequences. She's protecting him, I said now. His mother, even knowing what he did. She's protecting him. Enablers always do, Laura replied. That's how abusers thrive. They find people willing to excuse their behavior, blame the victims, maintain the dysfunction. A knock at the door. Marcus Cooper entered. Also in FBI gear, he'd been working the case, gathering more evidence, building the prosecution. Bail hearing is tomorrow, he said. Federal courthouse, high security. Do you want to be there, Becca? Did I want to face Derek in court? See him across a courtroom? Hear him lie about what happened? Yes. Yes, I did. I want to testify, I said. I want to tell the judge what he did, what he's been doing. I want them to hear it from me. Laura and Marcus exchanged looks, some unspoken communication passing between partners who'd worked together for years. It's your right, Laura said. But you should know what you're facing. Derek's attorneys will try to discredit you, suggest you're lying, that you provoked him, that you're an unreliable witness because of your injuries. They can try. I touched my fractured cheekbone. The swelling had gone down, but the bruising remained, yellow and green and purple. But my face tells the truth better than I ever could. Grace arrived with dinner, real food from my favorite restaurant, not hospital meals. She'd been staying with me, sleeping in the chair beside my bed, refusing to leave me alone. Eat, she commanded. Set containers on the rolling table. The baby needs nutrition. The baby, our baby, my baby now. Derek had lost the right to claim fatherhood when he'd thrown 87 punches at her. I'm filing for divorce, I said. To Grace, to Laura, to myself. Full custody, no visitation rights. He doesn't get to be her father. That will be difficult, Marcus warned. Even with the assault, even with prison. Courts favor parental rights. Terminating them completely requires extreme circumstances. Attempted murder of a pregnant woman isn't extreme? Grace's voice rose, angry, protective. It should be, Marcus said. But family law is complicated. Judges separate criminal behavior from parenting rights. We'll fight for it. But you should prepare for the possibility that Derek retains some legal connection to the child. The thought made me sick. Derek claiming fatherhood. Derek having rights. Derek using our daughter to control me from prison. His journal had laid out the plan. Use the baby to keep me trapped. Custody as a weapon. But that was before 20 FBI agents witnessed him trying to kill us both. That was before body cameras and medical evidence and public documentation. His plan had been exposure. Now everyone knew. Let him try, I said. Let him try to claim he deserves parental rights. I'll tell the judge about every bruise, every threat, every time he made me feel like dying was easier than leaving. Let him explain that to a family court. Laura smiled, small, grim. There's the fighter I knew was in there. Was I a fighter? I'd stayed with Derek for 3 years, endured abuse, made excuses, hidden the truth from everyone who might have helped. That wasn't fighting. That was surviving. But maybe survival was fighting. Maybe every day I didn't die was a victory. Maybe every time I protected my belly during a beating was an act of resistance. Maybe I'd been fighting all along without recognizing it. I need to know everything, I said. Everything you found. Every text message, every email, every piece of evidence. I need to see exactly who I was married to. Marcus hesitated. Becca, some of it is bad, really bad. You don't need to read his private thoughts about you. It won't help. Yes, it will, I was certain. Because right now, part of me still loves him. Part of me remembers the man at our wedding. The man who cried during vows. The man who seemed real. I need to kill that memory. I need to see the truth, all of it. Laura and Marcus looked at each other again. Then Laura nodded. I'll bring the evidence files tomorrow. Before the bail hearing, you will have time to review everything. Thank you. I lay back against the pillows, exhausted, hurting, but determined. The baby kicked, strong, steady, a tiny foot pressed against my ribs, reminding me what I was fighting for, not just my life, hers too. We're going to make it, I whispered to her. I promise we're going to survive this and build something better, something without fear, something without violence, somewhere you'll only ever know love. Grace squeezed my hand. Laura nodded. Marcus looked away, but not before I saw his expression soften. They believed me. Maybe I should start believing myself. Tomorrow I'd face Derek in court. Tomorrow I'd tell the truth. Tomorrow I'd start fighting back for real. But tonight, I'd rest, heal, prepare. The war wasn't over, But at least now I knew who the enemy was. The evidence files arrived at 8 in the morning. 3 thick binders, digital drives, transcripts, photographs, 18 months of investigation compressed into documented proof of who Derek really was. Laura set them on my hospital bed. "You're sure about this?" "I'm sure, Bob." Grace sat beside me. Moral support, witness to my awakening. Laura and Marcus stayed too, in case I needed them, in case the truth was too much. It was too much, but I needed it anyway. The first binder contained financial records, numbers I didn't understand at first. Then patterns emerged, money flowing in, money flowing out, but never where Derek claimed. Business accounts that weren't businesses, investments that weren't legitimate, a systematic 3-year theft, client list, names I recognized, some I'd met at Derek's work functions, others I'd only heard mentioned. All of them victims, Mrs. Eleanor Henderson, 71 years old, widow, $300,000 stolen, her retirement, her security, her late husband's life insurance meant to carry her through old age, gone. Thomas and Patricia Morrison, young couple, $200,000. Their daughter's college fund and their home down payment, stolen. Richard Chen, business owner, $1.2 million, his company's operating capital, had to lay off 12 employees because of the missing funds. Lives ruined because Derek wanted money he hadn't earned. 18 clients, $5.3 million total. Some knew they had been robbed, some hadn't discovered it yet. All of them trusted Derek Walsh, successful commercial real estate broker. All of them got betrayed. I'd benefited from stolen money. The realization made my stomach turn. Our house, our furniture, my car, the baby's nursery I'd so carefully decorated, all purchased with money stolen from people who trusted my husband. "I didn't know," I said, needing Laura to understand. "I swear I didn't know." "We know. Derek kept you isolated, controlled the finances. You had no way of knowing." Laura's voice was gentle, but I still felt complicit. The second binder was worse. Text messages, emails, Derek's words laid bare. Text to his friend Brad Hutchinson 6 months ago. "Got to teach the wife a lesson last night. She's been mouthy lately. Pregnancy's making her think she can talk back. Teaching me a lesson. Like I was a child needing discipline. Like violence was education." Email to his mother Victoria 8 months ago. "Rebecca threatened to leave again. Took care of it. She knows better now. Took care of it, meaning he'd hurt me, scared me. Reminded me what happened when I mentioned leaving. I remembered that night, the threat, his hands around my throat, not squeezing, just holding, just reminding me how easily he could kill me. Text to Brad 3 months ago. FBI might be looking into the business. Need to be careful. Good thing I've got Rebecca as cover. Nobody suspects the family man. Using me, using his pregnant wife as camouflage for criminal activity. The Loving Husband Act wasn't for me. It was for authorities, for appearances, for maintaining his cover. Google searches on Derek's phone. How to hide bruises. Is broken rib fatal? Pregnancy miscarriage from trauma. Can wife testify against husband? Spousal privilege, criminal cases. He'd researched how much damage he could cause without killing me. Studied the line between abuse and murder. Calculated. Premeditated. Strategic violence. He knew exactly what he was doing, I said. Voice hollow. Every punch, every kick, every threat. It was calculated. Yes, Marcus confirmed. This wasn't rage. This was systematic control through violence. The third binder contained Derek's journal, found in his office safe during the FBI raid. His private thoughts. His real self. Laura hesitated before opening it. This is the worst one, Becca. Once you read this, you can't unread it. You'll know exactly how he thought about you, about your marriage, about the baby. I need to know. She opened the journal, passed it to me. I read. Entry from 15 months ago. Rebecca thinks she's trapped because of the baby. She's right. Once the kid is here, she'll never leave. Custody keeps women in line. Her mother will tell her to stay for the child. Society judges women who break up families. Perfect plan. The miscarriage. He'd seen my pregnancy as a trap, my baby as a tool, and when I'd lost that baby after he pushed me downstairs, he'd held me in the hospital, cried, pretended to grieve. Entry from 12 months ago, the miscarriage was unfortunate but not catastrophic. Rebecca is even more dependent now. Grieving, isolated, easier to control, will wait a few months then try again. Need to lock her down permanently. Try again. Like I was a project, like our baby was a strategy, like my grief was a tool for manipulation. Entry from 8 months ago, pregnant again. Didn't plan it, but might be useful. Pregnant women rarely leave. Statistics on my side. Need to keep her isolated from Grace, though. That friend gives her too many ideas about independence. Cut off her support system slowly. She won't notice until it's done. Grace squeezed my hand. She'd noticed. She'd been watching. She'd called for help when I couldn't see I needed it. Entry from 6 months ago. Rebecca mentioned divorce during an argument. Corrected that immediately. Reminded her what happens when she threatens to leave. She's more compliant now. Good. The pregnancy bonds her to me legally. Even if she leaves, I'll use custody to control her. Visitation schedules, child support disputes, court dates. She'll never be free. I remembered that argument, remembered his hands around my throat, remembered his whisper. You leave, I'll take the baby. I'll tell the court you're unfit, unstable. Who do you think they'll believe? Successful businessman or unemployed wife with no income? I'd believed him. Thought he was right. Thought leaving was impossible. Entry from 3 months ago. FBI investigation getting serious. Need to prepare exit strategy. Transfer more money offshore. Rebecca is perfect cover. The devoted pregnant wife. Nobody suspects a family man. If it goes bad, I'll use her as scapegoat. Claim she was involved. Let her take some heat. He'd planned to frame me. Let me go to prison for his crimes. Destroy my life to save his own. Or just while I'd been trying to be a good wife. Trying to make him happy. Trying to survive. Final entry from 1 week ago. Housewarming party next weekend. FBI probably watching. Need to play the perfect husband. Keep Rebecca in line. She's been more confident lately. Pregnancy hormones, maybe. Need to remind her who's in charge without leaving visible marks. Can't have evidence. 1 week ago. He'd written this 1 week before he beat me unconscious at a party full of FBI agents. He'd known he was being watched, known he needed to maintain appearances, and he'd still chosen violence. I closed the journal, sat perfectly still, felt nothing. That was worse than feeling everything. The numbness, the void where my emotions should be, the complete disconnection from the woman who'd loved this man. I thought I was managing him, managing our life, managing the situation. I had strategies, rules, things I'd learned through trial and error and pain. Don't contradict him publicly. Don't mention his father. Don't laugh too loud. Don't wear red. Don't talk about leaving. Don't make him angry. Don't provoke him. Don't cause problems. But I wasn't managing anything. I was being managed, controlled. Every rule I'd learned was training. Every strategy was survival instinct. I'd built my entire existence around avoiding his violence. That's not living. That's hostage negotiation with yourself. I loved a man who never existed, I said finally. The man at our wedding who cried during vows. The man who seemed kind and protective. That was the mask. The abuser was who he always was. The violence started month 2. The kind man was the performance. Yes, Laura agreed quietly. I've been grieving a ghost while living with a monster. Grace was crying. Marcus looked away. Laura just watched me, waiting to see what I'd do with this knowledge. Show me the body camera footage, I said. Becca, you lived through it. You don't need to watch. Yes, I do. I need to see what they saw. I need to see it from outside my own head. Laura pulled out a laptop, queued up the footage. 6 angles, 6 different agents, 6 perspectives on my assault. I watched myself get beaten, saw what the agents saw. A pregnant woman curled on the floor, hands over her belly, not fighting back, just enduring, counting silently, trying to survive. Derek's face twisted with rage, his fist methodical. 87 documented strikes, 4 minutes of sustained violence. Not a momentary loss of control. A sustained, deliberate beating. The agents converging, Laura's command to stop. Derek's confusion then fury when he realized he'd been watched. His screaming about entrapment, about privacy, about his rights. Never once did he ask if I was okay. Never once did he show remorse. Just rage that he'd been caught. I want copies of everything, I said when the footage ended. The journal entries, the text messages, the financial records, the footage, all of it. For the divorce proceedings, for the custody case, for my own records. You'll have it, Marcus promised, and I want to testify today. At the bail hearing, I want to tell the judge what he did, what he's been doing, what he planned to keep doing. You'll have that chance, Laura said. I looked at Grace. My best friend who'd loved me enough to betray my confidence and call for help, who'd known I couldn't save myself and had tried to save me anyway. Thank you, I said, for calling them, for not trusting him, for seeing what I couldn't see. I should have called sooner. Her voice broke. I should have. You called when you could. You acted when you saw a chance. You saved my life. That's what matters. A knock at the door. A nurse. Mrs. Walsh, the discharge papers are ready. You're cleared to leave. Leave, go where? Grace's apartment had FBI security, but it wasn't safe. Nowhere was safe as long as Derek was free. But I couldn't stay in the hospital forever. Eventually, I had to face the world, face the future, face life as a woman who'd survived and had to figure out what survival meant. Let's go, I said. I have a court date to get to. The federal courthouse was a fortress. Security checkpoints, metal detectors, armed guards everywhere. Derek couldn't get near me here. This was neutral ground, safe ground, sort of. We arrived 2 hours early, preparation time. Agent Brennan and Agent Cooper escorted me. Grace came too. My mother, Diane, had flown in from Arizona last night, sat beside me now in the witness preparation room. Baby, you don't have to do this, Diane said. Again, she'd been saying it since she arrived. You can let the agents testify. You can stay out of it. I need to do this. I'd explained 3 times already, would explain 100 more if necessary. I need to tell the truth myself, out loud, on the record. Diane had seen my injuries and broken down crying. Why didn't you tell me? I could have helped. I could have blamed yourself, or tried to fix it, or told me to pray harder. I know, Mom. That's why I didn't tell you. She'd been quiet for a long time after that, then said something I hadn't expected. Your daddy hit me twice when you were little. You don't remember because I made sure you didn't see. The first time you were 3, he'd been drinking. We argued about money. He backhanded me, gave me a black eye. I stared at my mother. Dad hit you? Twice, the second time you were 5. I don't even remember what we argued about, but he raised his hand to me and I told him straight. You ever touch me again, I'll make sure everyone in town knows what kind of man you really are. Your boss, your parents, our pastor, everyone. He never touched me again. Mom, I never knew. Because I protected you from it, just like you're protecting your daughter now. Breaking cycles starts with one woman being brave enough. My mother had survived domestic violence, had threatened her way to safety, had somehow made it work when staying was the only option she could see. Different era, different tools, same courage required. I'm not brave, I said. You're here, aren't you? You're testifying. You're fighting back. That's brave. Maybe she was right. Maybe courage wasn't fearlessness. Maybe courage was being terrified and acting anyway. Testifying anyway. Fighting back anyway. Choosing survival even when survival seemed impossible. The assistant U.S. attorney arrived. Sandra Morrison, 40-something. Sharp suit, sharper eyes. She'd be prosecuting both Derek's wire fraud case and the assault charges. Mrs. Walsh, I'm going to have to ask you direct questions about the assault. Just answer honestly. Don't elaborate unless I ask for details. Derek's attorney will cross-examine you. He'll try to shake your story, make you seem unreliable. Don't get defensive. Just stick to the facts. What if he asks why I stayed? Then you answer honestly. but keep it brief. I was afraid is sufficient. Don't explain or justify. The why doesn't matter as much as the what. Sandra walked me through the questions she'd ask. What happened that night? Where Derek hit me, how many times, whether I fought back, whether the baby was in danger, whether I'd feared for my life. Yes, yes to all of it. One more thing, Sandra said. Derek will be in the courtroom. In civilian clothes? Cleaned up. His attorneys will have him looking sympathetic. Don't make eye contact. Don't react. Eyes on me or the judge. Nobody else. Don't look at him. Could I do that? Could I sit 15 feet away from the man who'd tried to kill me and not look? I'd have to. At 2 o'clock, we entered the courtroom. High ceilings, wood paneling, the seal of the United States behind the judge's bench, the weight of federal authority visible in every detail. Derek sat at the defense table, clean suit, fresh shave, bandage on his nose from where it had been broken when Agent Foster tackled him. His attorneys flanked him. Expensive suits, confident postures. Behind Derek, his mother Victoria, dabbing her eyes with a tissue, playing the concerned parent, the woman who'd blamed me for her son's violence. Behind our table, Grace and my mother, Agents Brennan, Cooper, and Foster. 20 agents had witnessed the assault, but only 3 were testifying today. The rest would be called at trial. All rise. The Honorable Judge Patricia Rothman presiding. Judge Rothman entered, 60-something. Gray hair, sharp eyes that missed nothing. She'd been on the bench for 26 years, according to Sandra. Had a reputation for no-nonsense justice. Be seated. We're here for the bail hearing of Derek Allen Walsh. The defendant has posted bail and is currently free pending trial. The government has filed a motion to revoke bail based on new evidence and danger to the victim. Ms. Morrison, proceed. Sandra stood. Your Honor, the government requests bail be revoked immediately. Mr. Walsh poses an extreme danger to his wife, Rebecca Walsh, and their unborn child. On the night of his arrest, Mr. Walsh brutally assaulted his pregnant wife in front of 20 FBI agents conducting a legal surveillance operation. Body camera footage documents 87 distinct strikes over 4 minutes. Mrs. Walsh suffered fractured cheekbone, broken rib, severe bruising, and was at risk of losing the pregnancy. Judge Rothman's expression hardened. Play the footage. The screens came to life, 6 angles showing Derek beating me unconscious. The audio made it worse. The sounds of fists hitting flesh, my gasps, Derek's labored breathing, the baby's heartbeat on the hospital monitor afterward. The courtroom was silent except for the violence on screen. Victoria covered her mouth. Derek stared at the table. His attorneys whispered to each other. When the footage ended, Judge Rothman removed her glasses. Counsel for the defense, your client's actions are documented by federal agents and video evidence. What possible argument supports his remaining free pending trial? Derek's lead attorney stood, James Bennett, silver hair, practiced smile. Your Honor, while the footage is disturbing, it shows a man under extreme psychological pressure. My client was being surveilled by federal agents without his knowledge. Living under that pressure, believing he was being watched, caused a psychological break. This was an isolated incident precipitated by the FBI's intrusion into his life. So your defense is the FBI made him beat his pregnant wife? Our defense is that without the FBI's provocative surveillance, this incident never would have occurred. Our motions to suppress evidence will demonstrate the entire investigation was unconstitutional. As for bail, Mr. Walsh has significant ties to the community. He's lived here for 5 years, has a business, family. He's not a flight risk. He's an embezzler with offshore accounts and a demonstrated willingness to harm his wife, Sandra countered. He has the means and motive to flee, and he's shown he cannot control his violent impulses. Mrs. Walsh provoked, Bennett started. Counsel, Judge Rothman's voice cut like ice. Choose your next words carefully. I've just watched your client throw 87 punches at a pregnant woman. I'm prepared to hear legal arguments. I'm not prepared to hear victim blaming. Bennett recalibrated. My client maintains his innocence regarding the wire fraud charges. The assault was regrettable, but happened under unique circumstances that won't be repeated. He's already completed anger management intake. He wishes to reconcile with his wife and be present for his child's birth. Ms. Morrison, call your first witness. The government calls Rebecca Walsh. I stood, walked to the witness stand, was sworn in, sat down, found Sandra's eyes and held them. Mrs. Walsh, please tell the court what happened on the night of the September 15th. I told the truth, all of it. The party, the laugh, Derek's rage, the assault, protecting my belly, counting the punches, thinking I would die. Agent Brennan's intervention. The hospital, learning I'd been bait in an FBI investigation without knowing. Did you fight back at any point? No, I only tried to protect my baby. Did you provoke your husband in any way? I laughed at someone else's joke. If that's provocation, then I was guilty. Had your husband been violent before this night? Yes, frequently, throughout our marriage. Why didn't you leave? Sandra had warned me this would come, had told me to keep it brief. But the answer wasn't brief. The answer was complex and painful and required understanding what it meant to be trapped. I was afraid, I said, simply. Afraid he'd kill me if I tried to leave. Statistics show the most dangerous time for an abused woman is when she attempts to leave her abuser. I wasn't wrong to be afraid. He told me he'd take my baby if I left, that he'd tell courts I was unfit, that I'd lose custody. I believed him. I was isolated from family, financially dependent, pregnant. I thought I had no options. I was wrong, but I didn't know that until 20 FBI agents witnessed what I'd been hiding. No further questions, Your Honor. Derek's attorney stood for cross-examination. Mrs. Walsh, you testified this wasn't the first incident of violence. Yet you never reported it, never called police, never sought help. Why should we believe you now? Because now I have witnesses. Before, it was my word against his. Now 20 federal agents saw what he did. Body cameras recorded it. Medical evidence documents it. I don't need you to believe me. I need you to believe the evidence. You also testified you were isolated and financially dependent. Yet you chose to stay in the marriage. I didn't choose anything. My voice stayed calm. I survived. There's a difference. You had options. Family in Arizona. Friends. You could have left at any time. Could I? My husband controlled all our money, monitored my phone, threatened to take my baby, told me he'd kill me if I left. Those aren't choices. Those are traps. Yet here you are, very much alive. Hardly seems like... Mr. Bennett, Judge Rothman's voice cut in. Move on. Bennett changed tactics. Your husband has agreed to anger management, to therapy, to whatever the court requires. Don't you think reconciliation is possible? For your child's sake? No, I think my child's sake requires her father be in prison where he can't hurt either of us. Withdrawn. Bennett sat down. He'd gotten nothing from me. No inconsistencies, no admissions of fault, just truth. Sandra called Agent Brennan next. Laura testified about the investigation, the surveillance, the planning, how agents had been positioned throughout the party, how they documented everything, how they'd intervened the moment they had sufficient evidence. Agent Brennan, you moved in next door to the Walshes 2 months before the assault. In that time, did you observe any signs of domestic violence? Yes, Mrs. Walsh frequently had injuries she attributed to accidents. She was anxious, isolated, monitored her phone constantly. Classic signs of abuse. But without her reporting it or Mr. Walsh acting violently in our presence, we couldn't intervene. Why not? Because victims of domestic violence need to be ready to leave. We can't force them. We can only provide support when they're prepared to accept it. Mrs. Walsh wasn't ready until we had sufficient evidence to arrest Mr. Walsh. Warning her would have put her in greater danger. Derek's attorney cross-examined. So you admit you used Mrs. Walsh as bait in your investigation? We used Mr. Walsh's own behavior as evidence in our investigation. His violence toward his wife provided additional charges. But we didn't cause that violence, he did. But if you'd arrested him 2 months earlier, then we wouldn't have evidence of 18 clients he'd defrauded. We wouldn't have located all the offshore accounts. We wouldn't have identified his co-conspirators. And Mrs. Walsh would still be married to a violent criminal, just one without assault charges. The hearing continued. Agent Cooper testified. Agent Foster testified. Medical testimony was entered. Derek's journal was referenced. Finally, Derek took the stand. His attorney's last gamble. Let him speak. Let him explain. Let him seem human. Mr. Walsh, tell the court in your own words what happened. Derek's voice was practiced, remorseful. I love my wife. I've never been violent before. The stress of being surveilled by federal agents without my knowledge pushed me to breaking point. When Rebecca laughed that night, something snapped. I wasn't thinking clearly. The fear of being watched, of being investigated for crimes I didn't commit, made me paranoid, irrational. I regret my actions. I'm getting help. I want to be there for my child's birth. I want to be the husband Rebecca deserves. Lies, all lies, practiced and polished and designed to manipulate. Sandra's cross-examination destroyed him. Mr. Walsh, you testified you've never been violent before, yet we have medical records showing your wife visited emergency rooms 3 times in 18 months with injuries consistent with assault. How do you explain that? Those were accidents. Rebecca is clumsy, especially during pregnancy. Clumsy enough to visit 3 different emergency rooms with injuries that emergency physicians documented as suspicious for abuse. I don't control what doctors think. You also testified the FBI surveillance stressed you. When did you become aware of the surveillance? I suspected it for months. Yet you never mentioned these suspicions to your wife? Never said, I think we're being watched, let's be careful. I didn't want to worry her. Or you didn't know about the surveillance until after you'd assaulted your wife and saw the FBI badges. Isn't that more accurate? Derek's mask cracked. They entrapped me. How did they entrap you? Did they force you to hit your wife 87 times? She provoked me. She laughed at someone else's joke. That's your provocation? That's what made you beat a pregnant woman unconscious? I wasn't thinking clearly, but you were thinking clearly enough to not hit her in the face until she was on the ground where neighbors couldn't see through windows. You were thinking clearly enough to not leave marks on visible skin. You were thinking clearly enough to target her ribs and back where clothes would hide the bruises. That's not loss of control, Mr. Walsh. That's calculated violence. Derek had no answer. Sandra continued. Your journal was recovered from your home office safe. You wrote that pregnancy would keep your wife trapped, that custody would give you control even if she left, that you planned to use your child as a weapon. Do you deny writing that? That journal was private. Do you deny it? I was venting. Everyone vents in journals. About using their unborn child to control their wife, about planning to frame their wife for financial crimes, about researching how much physical trauma a pregnant woman could survive. Everyone does that. I want my attorney. You have your attorney, Mr. Walsh. I'm just asking you to explain your own words. He couldn't. His testimony collapsed under the weight of documented evidence, his lies exposed by his own writings. Judge Rothman called for closing arguments. Sandra went first. Your Honor, Derek Walsh is a violent criminal who poses an extreme danger to his wife and unborn child. He's demonstrated willingness to cause grievous harm. He has the means to flee with offshore accounts containing millions in stolen funds. He's shown no genuine remorse. He's only sorry he got caught. We request bail be revoked and Mr. Walsh remain in federal custody pending trial. Bennett argued for bail, for second chances, for mercy, for the presumption of innocence. His words rang hollow against video evidence in Derek's own writings. Judge Rothman was silent for a long moment, then spoke. Mr. Walsh, I've been on this bench for 26 years. I've seen thousands of defendants, heard every excuse for domestic violence, stress, alcohol, provocation, mental health, money problems, work problems, every possible justification for hurting the people who trust you. She leaned forward. In all my years, I've never witnessed a case with 20 federal agents as eyewitnesses to a brutal assault on a pregnant woman. I've never seen body camera footage documenting 87 distinct strikes over 4 minutes. I've never read a defendant's journal where he openly admits to planning to use his child as a control mechanism. You had ample opportunity to walk away that night, to lock yourself in a bathroom, to leave the house, to take space. Instead, you chose violence, sustained, calculated violence against a woman 7 months pregnant, while she tried to protect your child. Your attorney claims FBI presence provoked you. Mr. Walsh, if the presence of federal agents prevents you from controlling your violent impulses, you're exactly the kind of defendant who needs to remain in custody. Bail is revoked effective immediately. You'll remain in federal custody pending trial on wire fraud, racketeering, and aggravated assault charges. Due to severity of injuries to the victim and clear danger to both Mrs. Walsh and the unborn child, a no-contact order will remain in full effect. You will not be notified of the child's birth. You will have no parental rights pending criminal proceedings. Derek erupted. You can't do that. That's my child. You can't keep me from my own baby. Bailiff removed the defendant. This is bullshit. Becca, you did this. You destroyed our family. I gave you everything. Security dragged him away, still screaming, still blaming, still refusing to accept responsibility. You'll never survive without me. You hear me? You'll never make it alone. The doors closed. His voice cut off. Silence filled the courtroom. Judge Rothman looked at me. Mrs. Walsh, I'm truly sorry for what you've endured. I hope you and your baby find safety and peace. Court is adjourned. I sat perfectly still, waiting to feel something. Relief, victory, satisfaction, anything. Instead, I felt empty, hollowed out, used up, like I'd poured everything in this moment and then now had nothing left. Grace wrapped her arms around me. You did it. He's going to prison. He said I'll never survive without him. He's wrong. He? I looked at Grace, at my mother, at Agent Brennan. I've never lived alone, never had my own money, never made decisions without considering his reaction. I don't know how to be just magnifique. Then you'll learn, Diane said, one day at a time, one decision at a time. You'll learn who Becca is when she's not afraid. Agent Brennan touched my shoulder. You were remarkable in there, strong, clear, unshakable. That's who you are. That's who you've always been. You just couldn't see it before. Maybe they were right. Maybe Derek's final words were one last attempt at control, one last effort to make me doubt myself, make me think I needed him, make me believe I was nothing without him. But I was something. I was a woman who'd survived, who'd testified, who'd fought back, who'd chosen life over fear. That was something. That was everything. We left the courthouse, stepped into autumn sunshine, cool air, freedom. Derek was in federal custody. He couldn't hurt me now, couldn't reach me, couldn't control me. For the first time in 3 years, I was truly alone, and alone felt like possibility. 4 weeks passed, September bleeding into October, leaves turning gold and red, the world continuing despite my personal apocalypse. I moved into Grace's apartment temporarily. FBI security remained posted. Derek's trial date was set for January. 3 months away. 3 months of waiting, preparing, rebuilding. The baby grew. My belly expanded. 34 weeks now. 6 weeks until my due date. 6 weeks to figure out how to be a single mother. How to survive without Derek's income. How to build a life from the wreckage. Grace's apartment was small. 1 bedroom she'd given me. She slept on the couch. Never complained. Made space for me and all my chaos without hesitation. You need to eat, she said daily. Brought food, made sure I consumed enough calories for the baby, monitored my moods, watched for signs of depression or breakdown. I was breaking down, just slowly, quietly, in ways that didn't show on the surface. At night, I dreamed of Derek, not the violent Derek, the wedding Derek, the man who'd cried during vows, who'd seemed gentle and loving and real. That Derek haunted me worse than the monster, because that Derek never existed. I knew that now, but my heart hadn't accepted it yet. My heart still mourned a ghost. Therapy helped. Dr. Ellis specialized in domestic violence survivors, met with me twice weekly, helped me unpack 3 years of trauma, helped me understand what had been done to me wasn't my fault. Why did I stay? I asked during one session. The question everyone wanted answered, including me. Fear, isolation, financial dependence, hope that he'd change, belief that love could fix him, realistic understanding that leaving might get you killed. All of those reasons are valid, Becca. But women leave abusive relationships all the time. Why couldn't I? Some women leave after the first incident, some after the 10th, some after the 100th. Some never leave at all. There's no right timeline for escape. You left when you could, when circumstances made it possible. That's what matters. FBI agents made it possible. Without them, I'd still be there, still married, still afraid. Maybe, or maybe you would have found another way. But the how doesn't matter as much as the fact that you're out now, safe now, building a new life now. Was I safe? Derek was in prison awaiting trial. But his mother, Victoria, was free. His friends were free. People who believed his version of events. People who thought I destroyed a good man. People who might decide to hurt me on his behalf. Agent Brennan checked in regularly. No longer as investigator, as friend. The relationship had shifted, become genuine, built on shared experience and mutual respect. "How are you really?" she asked over coffee one afternoon. Scared, angry, grieving, confused. Take your pick. All of the above is allowed. Is it? Because I feel like I should be relieved, happy, celebrating freedom. Instead, I'm just numb. Laura nodded. That's normal. You're processing trauma. It doesn't follow a linear path. Some days you'll feel strong. Some days you'll fall apart. Both are part of healing. Did you know? I asked. The question I'd been avoiding. When you moved in next door, did you know he was hitting me? Laura was quiet for a long moment, then honest. I suspected. You had injuries you explained away. You were isolated, anxious, classic signs. But without you reporting it or witnessing violence firsthand, I couldn't intervene. I could only document, gather evidence, wait for an opportunity. You used me. Yes, I did, and I'm sorry for that. I prioritized the investigation over your immediate safety. I made a choice that protected the larger case while putting you at risk. That was wrong. Her honesty was brutal, but I needed it. Needed to stop making excuses for people who had failed me, even people who were trying to help now. The wire fraud case could have waited, I said. You had enough evidence in July to arrest him. You chose to wait for more, and in those 3 months, he kept hurting me. Yes, we chose the investigation over your safety. I can't defend that decision. I can only tell you I regret it, and that I'll spend however long it takes making sure Derek pays for what he did to you. Why do you care? The question came out harsh. I'm just another case, another victim. Why does my situation matter to you personally? Laura looked away, stared at her coffee. I have 2 daughters, 16 and 14. I tell them to be strong, independent, to never let anyone control them. But I know statistics. 1 in 4 women experience domestic violence. Maybe one of my girls will end up like you someday. Trapped, afraid, needing help. She looked back at me. If that happens, I want someone to protect them the way I failed to protect you. I want someone to prioritize their safety over a case file. I want someone to care about them as people, not just evidence. I owe you that care, even if it's late. I understood then. Laura's guilt wasn't just professional, it was maternal. She saw her daughters in me, saw what could happen if someone didn't intervene. I forgive you, I said, surprising myself. Not because what you did was okay, but because holding on to anger won't help me heal. You're trying to make it right now. That's what matters. Laura's eyes filled with tears. She blinked them away quickly. Professional mask sliding back into place. Thank you. We sat in silence. 2 women connected by violence, by failure, by the shared understanding that sometimes the system meant to protect us fails completely. My phone buzzed. A text from my divorce attorney. Derek's lawyers requesting mediation. Want to discuss custody arrangements and property division. Are you interested? I showed the text to Laura. What do you think? I think Derek's trying to maintain control, even from prison. Mediation gives him power, forces you to negotiate, sit across from him, listen to his demands. So I should refuse? That's your decision. But remember, you don't owe him negotiation. You don't owe him access. You don't owe him anything except honesty in legal proceedings. I typed my response, no mediation. He can communicate through attorneys only. I want full custody, no visitation rights. He gets nothing. The attorney responded immediately. That will be difficult to achieve. Even with criminal charges, family courts often preserve parental rights. We'll fight for it. But you should prepare for the possibility of supervised visitation once he's released from prison. Released from prison. Years from now. My daughter would be a child by then, maybe a teenager. And Derek would want access, want to be called father, want to hurt her the way he'd hurt me, over my dead body. I'll do whatever it takes, I said to Laura. Whatever legal option exists to terminate his parental rights, I'll pursue it. He documented his plans to use her as a weapon. That has to count for something. It does. We'll make sure the family court judge sees everything. The journal entries, the text messages, the assault footage. Derek wrote his own termination order. He just doesn't know it yet. Small victories. That's what Dr. Ellis said to focus on. Small daily victories that added up to survival. Opening my own bank account had been one. Walking into the bank, giving them my information, hearing the officer say, just your name, no joint account? Just my name. Hey, only me. The account had $12 in it, money Grace had given me. But it was mine, my name, my control, my first financial independence in 3 years. Another small victory, meeting with Mrs. Henderson, the 71-year-old retiree Derek had stolen from. I'd reached out through the FBI, asked if she'd be willing to talk. We met at a coffee shop. She was small, gray-haired, elegant even in her anger. Mrs. Henderson, I'm Rebecca Walsh, Derek's wife. I wanted to apologize for what he did to you. She'd looked at me carefully, studying my face, the fading bruises still visible despite makeup. Child, you were his victim too. You don't owe me an apology. I benefited from stolen money. Our house, our cars. I didn't know, but I still benefited. Did you enjoy it, knowing your husband was a thief? I didn't know. Then you didn't benefit. You were just another person he used, another pawn in his game. Her kindness had broken something in me. Started me crying in a public coffee shop. This woman I'd never met showing me more grace than I'd shown myself. I'm filing for divorce, I told her. I'm going to testify against him. Make sure he goes to prison for as long as possible. It won't get your money back, but maybe it helps. It helps, she'd said firmly, and you take care of that baby. Don't let his evil touch her life. I won't, I promise. More small victories accumulated. Changing my phone number so Derek couldn't call from prison. Changing the locks on the house Grace had helped me secretly visit to collect my belongings. Filing a restraining order that would extend beyond Derek's prison sentence. Applying for government assistance programs I'd been too proud to consider before. Pride had no place in survival. Pride was a luxury for people who had options. I had a baby coming and no income. Pride didn't feed children. The biggest victory was the therapy itself. Sitting in Dr. Ellis's office twice a week, unpacking the lies I'd believed about myself. I thought strong women don't end up in abusive relationships, I said during one session. Where did you learn that? Movies, TV shows, articles that say, why doesn't she just leave? Like it's simple, like fear isn't real. Strength isn't immunity to abuse. Strength is surviving abuse. You survived 3 years of systematic violence. That's not weakness. That's endurance most people can't imagine. But I stayed. I kept giving him chances, kept believing his apologies. Because you're human. Because you wanted to believe love could fix him. Because the alternative, accepting you'd married a monster, was too painful to face. That's not weakness either. That's hope. Misplaced hope, but hope nonetheless. I kept waiting for the old Derek to come back, the man from our wedding, the man who'd seemed real and loving and safe. Then therapy helped me realize that man never existed. He was a performance, a carefully crafted illusion designed to trap me. The abuse started month 2, which meant the kind man lasted exactly 8 weeks. Everything after was the real Derek, the violent Derek, the controlling Derek, the criminal Derek. I'd been grieving a ghost while living with a monster. Accepting that truth hurt worse than the physical abuse. because it meant I'd wasted 3 years loving someone who didn't exist. Meant I'd built my life on a foundation of lies. Meant every happy memory was poisoned by the knowledge of what came after. Our wedding photos made me sick now. That woman in white who'd believed in forever, who'd thought she'd found safety, who'd had no idea what was coming. I wanted to go back in time, warn her, tell her to run, tell her Derek would hurt her, terrorize her, try to kill her, tell her the baby she'd someday carry would be endangered by the man crying at the altar. But I couldn't warn her. Could only live with the consequences of her choices. Could only try to build something better from the wreckage she'd left me. Grace found me crying one night, late, the baby kicking, hormones and grief mixing into something overwhelming. What's wrong? She sat beside me on the bed, held my hand. I don't know how to do this. Be a mother, raise a child alone, figure out who I am without someone controlling me. So we figure it out together. You're not alone, Becca. You have me, your mom, Laura, and the other agents. Dr. Ellis, a whole support system. But eventually everyone goes back to their lives. You have your own apartment, your own blah, your own life. You can't babysit me forever. I'm not babysitting you. I'm being your friend. That doesn't have an expiration date. The baby kicked hard, pressed against my ribs. Grace felt it through my hands, smiled. She's strong, just like her mama. I'm not strong. I'm terrified. Strong people get terrified. They just don't let terror stop them. You're testifying against Derek, filing for divorce, building a new life. That's brave, Becca. That's powerful. Maybe she was right. Maybe I'd been strong all along and just couldn't see it. Maybe counting Derek's punches while protecting my belly was strength. Maybe surviving each day was victory. Maybe I'd been fighting all along without recognizing it as fighting. My mother called from Arizona, daily check-ins. How are you feeling? Tired, huge, ready for this pregnancy to be over. Only 6 more weeks, then you'll have a beautiful baby girl and no sleep for 18 years. Mom, what if I can't do this? What if I'm too damaged to be a good mother? Oh, honey, you're going to be a wonderful mother because you know what bad parenting looks like. You know what violence does to children. You'll never let your daughter experience what you experienced. But what if I mess up? What if I make mistakes? Then you'll be human. All parents mess up. The difference is you'll apologize when you're wrong. You'll put her needs first. You will create safety instead of fear. That's all any child needs. Her confidence in me felt unearned. But maybe that's what mothers did. Believed in their children even when those children couldn't believe in themselves. 6 weeks until my due date. 6 weeks to prepare. 6 weeks to figure out how to be a single mother without income or housing or any idea what I was doing. The fear was constant, heavy, exhausting. But underneath the fear, something else grew. Something small but determined. Something that whispered, I could do this. I would do this. I'd survive Derek. I could survive anything. The baby kicked again, reminding me I wasn't alone. We were in this together. Mother and daughter, both of us survivors, both of us fighters. We're going to make it, I whispered to my belly. I don't know how yet, but we're going to make it. The baby's response was a strong kick. Agreement. Determination. A tiny fist pressed against my palm from inside. We're going to make it, Mama. We both are. 37 weeks pregnant. 3 weeks until my due date. My body preparing for labor. My mind preparing for motherhood. Both felt impossible. I moved into a small apartment, 1 bedroom. Affordable rent subsidized by assistance programs. It wasn't Grace's place. Wasn't the house Derek and I had shared. It was mine. Empty, bare, waiting for me to make it home. Grace helped me move in. The FBI agents showed up too. Laura, Marcus, Ray. They'd become unlikely friends, brought furniture, assembled the crib I'd gotten from a secondhand store, hung curtains, made the space livable. You don't have to do this, I said, watching Ray struggle with crib instructions. You've already done so much. We're doing this, Laura said firmly. Consider it our apology for letting you get hurt. We failed you then. We won't fail you now. Marcus brought groceries, filled my empty fridge and cupboards. You focus on the baby. We'll handle logistics. I wanted to refuse, wanted to prove I could do it alone. But pride was a luxury I couldn't afford. I needed help. Accepting help wasn't weakness. It was survival. The nursery came together slowly. Secondhand crib, donated clothes from Grace's church, a rocking chair I'd found at a garage sale. Nothing matched. Everything was mismatched and imperfect and beautiful because it was ours. I painted one wall pale yellow. The baby's room, her space, her sanctuary, a place Derek would never touch, never enter, never poison with his violence. Agent Brennan stopped by with baby supplies, diapers, wipes, bottles. From all of us, she said. The entire team chipped in. 20 FBI agents who'd witnessed my assault had created a fund, not just for medical bills, for everything I'd need. Crib, car seat, stroller, clothes, formula, diapers for months. Why, I asked. Voice thick. Why do you all care so much? Because we saw you at your most vulnerable, Laura said. We saw what Derek did. We saw how you protected your baby even while being beaten unconscious. That kind of courage deserves support. Courage. They kept using that word. I still didn't feel courageous. Just terrified and pregnant and trying to survive one day at a time. Small acts of reclaiming my life continued. Opening a bank account had been first. Now came bigger steps. Enrolling in community college classes. I'd start in January after the baby was born. Business administration. Something practical. Something that could lead to employment, to independence, to never needing anyone's money but my own. Meeting with a divorce attorney. The process was complicated by Derek's incarceration, but we filed anyway. Cited irreconcilable differences in domestic violence. Requested full custody with no visitation rights. The lawyer warned me it was a long shot. Family courts preserve parental rights except in extreme cases. 20 FBI witnesses to attempted murder isn't extreme? It should be, but judges see parental rights and criminal behavior as separate. Even violent offenders often get supervised visitation. Then we'll fight. We'll show them Derek's journal, his plans to use our daughter as a weapon, his Google searches about how to harm pregnant women without killing them. If that's not grounds for termination, what is? The lawyer smiled grimly. We'll fight, but prepare yourself for disappointment. I was preparing for everything. Disappointment, failure, success, single motherhood, poverty, independence, all of it swirling together in overwhelming possibility. Physical preparation for birth came next. Birthing classes that Grace attended with me, learning breathing techniques, labor positions, what to expect, how to push, when to call the hospital. I was the only single mother in the class. Every other pregnant woman had a partner, husbands, boyfriends, someone to breathe with them, someone to hold their hand during contractions. I had Grace, my best friend who'd saved my life, who'd called the FBI when she'd seen I couldn't save myself, who'd become my family by choice rather than blood. You're not alone, Grace whispered during one class. When the instructor talked about partner support, when I felt the absence of what was supposed to be there. I know, I have you. You'll always have me. The instructor asked us to practice breathing through simulated contractions. Grace held my hand, counted breaths, coached me through imaginary pain. This would be our reality soon. Real contractions, real pain, real labor. And Grace would be there. Not Derek, never Derek again. That absence felt like victory. More allies emerged, unexpected support from surprising places. Dr. Mitchell from the ER called to check on me. I wanted to make sure you're doing okay, that you have resources. I do, thank you. For everything. For documenting my injuries. For being a mandatory reporter. I've been an ER physician for 23 years. I've reported hundreds of domestic violence cases. Most women never press charges, never leave. You're giving me hope that reporting matters. It mattered, you mattered. Thank you. She connected me with a support group, other domestic violence survivors, women at different stages of healing, some newly escaped, some years out, all of them understanding what I'd lived through. The first meeting was overwhelming. Sitting in a circle with strangers, being asked to share my story. My name is Rebecca. My husband beat me while I was pregnant. 20 FBI agents witnessed it. He's in prison now, waiting for trial. I'm 37 weeks pregnant and have no idea how to be a single mother. The other women nodded, understood, shared their own stories. The patterns were eerily similar. Charming men who became controlling, isolation from family and friends, escalating violence, escape attempts, statistics about leaving being the most dangerous time. One woman named Sarah caught my attention. 40-something, calm, centered, years past her own abuse. I left my ex-husband 12 years ago, she said. He broke my bone, 3 ribs, gave me a concussion. I thought I'd never recover. But here I am, whole, healthy, happy. You will be too, Rebecca. Give yourself time. 12 years. Would it take that long? 12 years to feel whole? To stop jumping at sudden movements? To sleep through the night without nightmares? After the meeting, Sarah approached me. You're going to be okay. I know it doesn't feel like it now, but one day you'll realize you haven't thought about him in hours, then days, then weeks. The fear fades. The strength remains. How do you know? Because I've lived it, and because you're already strong. You're just too close to the trauma to see it yet. Strong, everyone kept saying that. Maybe if enough people said it, I'd start believing it. My mother arrived from Arizona, came to help with the baby, to support me, to grandmother. I'm staying until you don't need me anymore, Diane announced. Unpacked her suitcase in my tiny apartment, took over the couch. Mom, you have your own life in Arizona. My life is wherever my daughter needs me. Right now, that's here. Having her close felt good, safe, like maybe I didn't have to do everything alone. Like asking for help was allowed. We talked late into nights about her marriage to my father, about the violence she'd endured and escaped, about cycles of abuse and breaking them. Your daddy hit me twice, she repeated. The story I'd never known until recently. The second time I drew a line, told him if he ever touched me again, everyone would know. He never did. But I learned something important. You can't love someone into changing. They have to choose change themselves. Derek never chose to change. No, he chose violence. Repeatedly, calculatedly. That wasn't your failure. That was his choice. You're not responsible for his choices. Then why does it feel like I am? Because abusers make you think that, make you believe you're the problem. That if you just behaved better, tried harder, were more perfect, they'd stop hurting you. But it's a lie. The violence was never about you. It was about control, about power, about him being broken in ways you couldn't fix. I thought about Derek's journal, his documented plans, his calculations, his research into how to hurt me without killing me. None of that was my fault. None of that was provoked by my behavior. It was premeditated, strategic, intentional. For 32 years, I'd believed strong women don't end up in abusive relationships. Believed strength meant leaving immediately. Believed staying was weakness. Now I understood. Strength was surviving. Strength was enduring. Strength was protecting my baby through 87 punches. Strength was finally choosing to leave when circumstances made it possible. There was no perfect timeline for escape. No right way to survive. Only the messy, painful, complicated reality of trauma and healing. My 38th week of pregnancy arrived. 2 weeks until my due date. Braxton Hicks contractions started. Practice labor. My body preparing. The baby positioning herself. Getting ready. I was not ready. Grace threw a small baby shower. Just a few people. Laura and Marcus, Ray, my mother, Dr. Ellis, Sarah from the support group. A chosen family built from the wreckage Derek had left. We played silly games, guessed the baby's weight and length, ate cake, opened gifts, laughed, real laughter, free laughter, the kind that didn't come with fear attached. Agent Foster won the Guess the Baby Food game. His counterterrorism training apparently prepared him for anything, including identifying pureed vegetables while blindfolded. The absurdity of it made everyone laugh harder. FBI agents playing baby shower games in my tiny apartment. This strange, beautiful, unexpected family. "What are you naming her?" Laura asked. "Hope." I touched my belly. Hope Diane, for her grandmother. And because that's what she represents. Hope that I can break the cycle. Hope that she'll only know love. Hope that we'll both heal. "Hope Diane Walsh," my mother said softly, tears in her eyes. "Hope Diane Shepherd," I corrected. "I'm taking back your maiden name, Mom. Walsh dies with this divorce. We're Shepherds, both of us. New name, new life, new beginning." Diane started crying, happy tears this time, pulled me into a hug despite my enormous pregnant belly. "I'm so proud of you, baby girl." The party continued. Food and laughter and the strange comfort of people who'd witnessed my worst day and chosen to stay anyway. Chosen to help, chosen to care. Late in the evening, after everyone had left, I sat in the nursery, rocking chair creaking gently, one hand on my belly, the baby moving inside me. Awake, active, ready to enter the world. "2 more weeks," I whispered to her. "2 more weeks, and we get to meet. I'm going to do my best, Hope. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to be terrified. But I promise you'll be safe. You'll be loved. You'll never see what I saw. You'll never feel what I felt. I'm breaking the cycle for both of us." The baby's response was a strong series of kicks, like she understood, like she was ready, like she believed in me even though I didn't quite believe in myself yet. "Your father tried to destroy us," I continued. "He tried to use you as a weapon before you were even born. But he failed. We survived. And we're going to thrive. I don't know how yet, but we will together." My water broke 3 days later. At 2 in the morning, Grace sleeping on the couch, my mother in the bedroom, all of us waking to me standing in a puddle, shock and fear and excitement mixing together. "It's time," I said, voice shaking. "The baby's coming." Grace snapped into action, grabbed the hospital bag we'd packed weeks ago, called the hospital, helped me to the car. My mother followed, both of them flanking me, protecting me, supporting me. Labor came fast, contractions every 5 minutes, then every 3, then every 2, pain unlike anything I'd experienced. Worse than Derek's fists, different, productive, creating life instead of destroying it. Grace held my hand, counted breaths. "You're doing great, almost there, just breathe." My mother stood at my head, stroked my hair. "You can do this, Becca. Women have been doing this forever. You're strong enough." Dr. Mitchell was on call, the same ER physician who treated me after the assault. Now delivering my baby, the symmetry felt significant. She'd seen me at my lowest. Now she'd see me at my strongest. 14 hours of labor, 14 hours of pain and pushing and determination, 14 hours of fighting to bring new life into the world. And then, at 4:30 in the afternoon, a cry, high and strong and beautiful. "It's a girl," Dr. Mitchell announced. Placed my daughter on my chest, skin to skin, warm and perfect and alive. Hope Diane Shepherd, 8 pounds, 2 ounces, 20 inches long, full head of dark hair, eyes squinting against the light, crying lustily, protesting her entry into the world. I sobbed, held her, felt her warmth, her life, her perfection. "I'm so sorry," I whispered. "I'm so sorry for everything you endured before you were born, for the stress, for the fear, for the violence. But you're here now, you're safe, and I promise you'll only ever know love." The baby quieted at my voice, opened her eyes, looked at me with unfocused newborn vision, like she recognized me, like she knew I was her mother, like she trusted me despite everything. Grace and Diane were crying. Dr. Mitchell smiled, the room filled with joy and relief in the overwhelming reality of new life. Derek was in prison, miles away, unable to touch this moment, unable to poison it with his presence. This was ours, mine and Hope's, our victory, our beginning. "Welcome to the world, baby girl," I said, kissed her forehead. "We made it. We both made it." The first few weeks with Hope were chaos, beautiful, exhausting chaos. Sleepless nights, constant feeding, diaper changes, learning her craze, understanding her needs. being responsible for this tiny human who depended on me completely. My mother stayed, helped with night feedings, and showed me how to swaddle, how to burp, how to soothe. The practical knowledge passed from mother to daughter, generations of women caring for babies. Grace visited daily, brought groceries, held Hope while I showered, gave me breaks, made sure I ate, reminded me to sleep when the baby slept. "You look exhausted," she said one afternoon. I'd been up all night with Hope, cluster feeding, growth spurt, normal but overwhelming. "I am exhausted, but also happy. Is that weird?" "Not weird. That's motherhood. Exhausting and fulfilling simultaneously." Agent Brennan stopped by with flowers, held Hope carefully. The tough FBI agent transformed by a 7-pound baby. "She's beautiful," Laura said. "Looks like you." "Thank God she doesn't look like Derek. She looks like herself. That's what matters." Laura told me Derek's trial date had been moved up. January 5th, 2 months away. I'd need to testify again. This time for the jury. This time with Hope in my life. This time as a mother protecting her child. "Will you be ready?" Laura asked. "I'll have to be." The mail brought documents from Derek's attorney, requesting paternity test, requesting visitation rights, claiming parental interest despite criminal charges. The audacity of it made me sick. He's in prison for trying to kill us, and he wants visitation? My divorce attorney explained, family law is separate from criminal law. Judges often preserve parental rights even for incarcerated parents. But we'll fight it. We'll present his journal, his plans to use Hope as a weapon, his documented intent to harm you both. When does he get to meet her? Not until we say so, maybe never if we can prove termination of rights is in Hope's best interest. But it's a battle. Prepare yourself. I looked at Hope sleeping in her bassinet, perfect, innocent, untouched by her father's violence. I'd die before I let Derek hurt her. I'd fight every legal battle necessary, use every documented piece of evidence, make sure Hope never had to call that man father. Derek tried to call from prison. I'd been warned he might. The collect call system that let inmates contact family. My new phone number hadn't been shared with him officially, but his mother had it, his attorneys had it. Someone had given it to him. I didn't accept the call, blocked the prison number, refused all contact. The restraining order was still in effect. Any attempt to contact me was a violation. His mother, Victoria, tried a different approach. Showed up at my apartment. I saw her through the peephole. Designer coat, perfect hair, judgment radiating from every pore. I didn't open the door. "Rebecca, I know you're in there. Let me meet my granddaughter." Silence. "This is ridiculous. Derek made a mistake, but he's still the father. You can't keep his child from him." "Watch me," I said through the door. "Leave now, or I call the police for violating the restraining order that extends to Derek's family. This is cruelty, punishing an innocent baby because you're angry at Derek. I'm protecting my daughter from a violent criminal. Leave." She left eventually, but not before leaving a package at my door. Inside was a silver rattle, expensive, engraved with Hope's name. A gift or a threat, I couldn't tell which. I threw it away, refused to let Derek's family buy their way into our lives. The trial arrived faster than expected. January 5th. Hope was 6 weeks old, still tiny, still nursing, still needing me constantly. My mother agreed to watch her during the trial. "You go, do what needs to be done. Hope and I will be fine." "What if she needs me? What if—" "Then I'll call. But you need to do this, Becca. You need to testify to make sure Derek pays for what he did." The courthouse was familiar now. Same building where Derek's bail had been revoked. Same judge. Same prosecution team. But this time, a jury. 12 strangers who'd decide Derek's fate. The prosecution presented their case methodically. Financial experts testified about the wire fraud. 18 clients described losing money. Mrs. Henderson wept on the stand describing how Derek had stolen her retirement. Then came the assault charges. The body camera footage played for the jury. I heard gasps, saw jurors' faces twist with disgust, watched them look at Derek with anger and revulsion. Agent Brennan testified about the investigation, about watching Derek for months, about documenting his crimes. about witnessing the assault. I've been with the FBI for 17 years, she said. Worked organized crime, violent offenders, domestic terrorism. I've never witnessed anything as brutal as what Derek Walsh did to his wife that night. 87 documented punches to a woman 7 months pregnant. She never fought back, just tried to protect her baby. The defense attorney tried to discredit her, suggested the FBI had provoked Derek, entrapped him, violated his rights. Agent Brennan, isn't it true your surveillance operation violated my client's Fourth Amendment rights? No, we had warrants for electronic surveillance based on evidence of wire fraud. We were investigating financial crimes when we witnessed attempted murder. Isn't it possible your presence at the party provoked my client? 20 trained federal agents remained completely covert until Mr. Walsh began assaulting his wife. Our presence didn't provoke him. His wife's laughter at someone else's joke provoked him. That's not provocation. That's a dangerous man who was looking for any excuse to be violent. Agent Cooper testified next, then Agent Foster, then Dr. Mitchell with medical evidence. The prosecution built a wall of testimony, brick by brick, witness by witness, until Derek's guilt was undeniable. Then it was my turn. Walking to the witness stand felt like walking through deep water, heavy, slow, difficult, but necessary. Sandra Morrison asked the same questions as before. What happened that night? How many times Derek hit me? Whether I fought back, whether I feared for my life and my baby's life, I answered truthfully, calmly, without emotion. Just facts, just truth. Mrs. Walsh, you've since given birth. Can you tell the court about your daughter? Her name is Hope. She's 6 weeks old, healthy, perfect. She survived despite her father's attempt to kill her before she was born. How has motherhood changed your perspective on what happened? I looked at the jury, made eye contact with each person. Every time I look at my daughter, I'm grateful she's alive, grateful Derek failed to kill us, and terrified that if he's ever released from prison, he'll try again. Not because he loves Hope, but because hurting her would hurt me, and control is what he cares about most. Derek's attorney objected. Your Honor, that's speculation. Overruled. The witness may answer based on her experience with the defendant. I continued. Derek documented his plans to use our child as a weapon. His journal entries made that clear. He researched how to harm pregnant women without killing them. He calculated. He planned. This wasn't a moment of rage. It was systematic violence designed to maintain control. The defense attorney cross-examined. Mrs. Walsh, you filed for divorce and requested sole custody. Isn't it true you're trying to punish my client by keeping his child from him? I'm protecting my daughter from a violent criminal who documented his plans to use her to control me. That's not punishment. That's my responsibility as a mother. But you chose to marry him, chose to stay with him for 3 years, chose to get pregnant. Those were your choices. I chose to marry a man I thought was kind. I didn't choose to be abused. I didn't choose to be beaten. I didn't choose to have my husband try to kill me. And I'm choosing now to protect my daughter from ever experiencing what I experienced. No further questions. I stepped down, returned to my seat beside Grace. She squeezed my hand. The defense presented their case. Character witnesses who said Derek was a good man. Business associates who claimed the financial irregularities were misunderstandings. A psychologist who testified about stress and trauma responses. Derek took the stand, repeated his claims about FBI provocation, about loving his wife, about wanting to be a father, about making a mistake he regretted. Sandra destroyed him on cross-examination, used his own journal against him, his own text messages, his own Google searches, his own documented plans. Mr. Walsh, you wrote in your journal that pregnancy would trap your wife, that custody would give you control. Those were your words? Yes, but you researched how to harm pregnant women without killing them. That was your search history? I was curious. It doesn't mean you sent texts to friends bragging about teaching your wife a lesson after assaulting her. Those were your words? I was joking. You didn't mean to beat your pregnant wife unconscious at a party. You accidentally threw 87 punches over 4 minutes. Derek had no answer. His lies crumbled under the weight of his own documentation. He'd created the evidence of his guilt, written it down, saved it, made prosecution simple. Closing arguments were powerful. Sandra presented Derek as a calculating criminal who committed financial fraud and domestic violence, who stole from vulnerable clients and brutalized his pregnant wife, who showed no remorse, who deserved maximum punishment. The defense asked for mercy, for understanding, for recognition that Derek was human and had made mistakes under pressure. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. On count 1, wire fraud, guilty. On count 2, racketeering, guilty. On count 3, aggravated assault, guilty. On count 4, attempted murder, guilty. Guilty on all counts. Derek's face went white. His mother screamed from the gallery. His attorneys looked shocked despite overwhelming evidence. Judge Rothman scheduled sentencing for 2 weeks later. Derek remained in custody. No bail this time. No last-minute release. Grace hugged me. He's going to prison. It's over. It's not over until sentencing, until I know how long he'll be locked up. But this was victory. Guilty verdicts on all counts. The truth vindicated. The system working. Justice delivered. I left the courthouse and went straight home. To Hope. To my daughter, who was my whole world. Who represented everything Derek had tried to destroy and failed. She was awake, crying, hungry, normal baby needs. I picked her up, settled into the rocking chair, fed her while my mother watched. "How did it go?" Diane asked. "Guilty, all counts, he's going to prison." "Good. That monster deserves everything he gets." Hope nursed contentedly, unaware of the trial, unaware of her father, unaware of everything except warmth and food and love. That innocence was precious, worth protecting. "I'm going to make sure you never know him," I whispered to her. "Never have to call him father, never have to visit him in prison or deal with supervised visitation. You're mine, just mine, and I'm going to keep you safe." The baby's hand wrapped around my finger, strong grip, determined, like she understood, like she trusted me. We made it, Hope. We survived, and now we're going to live. Sentencing day arrived 2 weeks later. Hope was 8 weeks old, still tiny but growing, developing her own personality, smiling more, sleeping slightly longer stretches, being my reason for everything. I chose not to attend sentencing in person. Couldn't bear to see Derek again. Couldn't risk the trauma affecting my ability to care for Hope. Instead, I submitted a written victim impact statement. Let my words speak for me. Laura called me after the sentencing. 40 years, she said, federal prison, consecutive sentences. He'll be eligible for parole in 32 years. He'll be 67 years old. 40 years. Hope would be 40 years old when Derek got out, an adult, with her own life, her own choices, her own power to refuse contact. "That's good," I said, but felt nothing. No satisfaction, no relief, just emptiness. "It's more than good, it's justice. He'll spend most of his life in prison. By the time he's released, everyone he hurt will have moved on, built new lives. He'll be old and irrelevant. Unless he tries to contact Hope, unless he claims parental rights from prison. We're fighting that. The family court hearing is next month. We'll present everything, the journal, the assault footage, his conviction. We'll convince the judge to terminate his parental rights. And if we don't, then we'll appeal. We'll keep fighting. Hope will never have to meet him if you don't want that." I wanted to believe her, wanted to trust the system would protect us. But I learned the hard way that systems fail. That protection isn't guaranteed, that I had to fight for my own safety and my daughter's. The victim impact statement I'd submitted was read in court. Laura sent me a transcript. "Your Honor, I won't be present today. I'm home with my daughter, where I belong. Derek Walsh tried to destroy me, tried to kill me, documented his plans to use our child as a weapon, but he failed. I'm not grateful for what happened. The assault was horrific. The abuse was wrong. But I am grateful it happened publicly. Grateful 20 people witnessed it. Because without those witnesses, I'd probably still be with him, making excuses, hiding bruises, believing his promises to change. Private abuse keeps women trapped. Public exposure set me free. I don't forgive Derek Walsh. Forgiveness is for people who show remorse. He's shown none, but I do release him. Release his power over my life, my thoughts, my future. He's not my husband anymore. Not my problem. Just a criminal serving time for his crimes. To other women reading this someday, because I know this will become public record, leaving seems impossible until you do it. Survival seems unlikely until you survive. You're stronger than you know. Your fear is valid. Your hope is valid. Both can be true. I survived. My daughter thrives. That's my victory. His punishment is just a side benefit. Rebecca Shepherd. Judge Rothman had paused after reading it, according to Laura, had looked at Derek and said exactly what needed saying. Mr. Walsh, Mrs. Shepherd's statement demonstrates remarkable grace and strength, qualities you lack entirely. You'll spend the next 40 years in federal prison. You'll be 67 when eligible for parole. Your daughter will be 40. Perhaps by then you'll understand what you destroyed. Derek's final words in court were predictable. Screaming, blaming me, refusing responsibility. Security had removed him while he shouted, "Rebecca did this? She ruined my life. I loved her." Love doesn't count to 87. Love doesn't research how to harm pregnant women. Love doesn't document plans to use children as weapons. Derek never loved me. He loved control, loved power, loved having someone to abuse. That wasn't love. That was possession. Time moved forward. Winter into spring, hope growing, 3 months old, 4 months, 5 months, each milestone a victory, each developmental leap a celebration. I enrolled in community college classes online, business administration, took classes while Hope napped, studied while she played, slowly building toward a degree, toward employment, toward complete independence. Grace remained my closest friend, my chosen sister, the woman who'd saved my life by calling the FBI. We had coffee every week. She babysat when I needed breaks. She became Hope's godmother, her aunt by choice rather than blood. "You're doing amazing," Grace said one afternoon, watching me manage Hope's feeding schedule and online coursework simultaneously. "Single motherhood looks good on you." "It's exhausting, but good. Better than being married to Derek." "Everything's better than that." Agent Brennan became Laura, friend rather than investigator. She visited monthly, brought gifts for Hope, shared stories about her own daughters, created a bond built on shared trauma and mutual respect. "How are you really?" she asked during one visit. The question she always asked, the one that demanded honesty. "Some days I'm great. Some days I fall apart. Today I'm somewhere in between." That's normal. Healing isn't linear. When does it get easier? It already is easier. You just can't see it because you're living it. 6 months ago, you were in the hospital. Now you're raising a healthy baby, taking college classes, building a new life. That's not just easier, that's transformation. Maybe she was right. Maybe I was transforming and couldn't recognize it from inside the process. Maybe survival was its own kind of strength. The family court hearing happened when Hope was 6 months old. The termination of parental rights case. Derek's final attempt to maintain control. My final battle to sever all connection. His attorneys argued for preservation of parental rights, claimed Derek deserved a relationship with his daughter despite his crimes. That punishment should be imprisonment, not loss of fatherhood. My attorney presented Derek's journal, his text messages, his Google searches, his conviction, his 40-year sentence. "Your Honor, Mr. Walsh documented his intent to use Hope as a weapon to control Rebecca. He researched methods to harm them both. He's serving 40 years for attempting to murder them. He's demonstrated he's a danger to this child. Termination of parental rights is necessary for Hope's safety and well-being." The judge, a different judge, a family court judge named Morrison, listened carefully, reviewed all evidence, took 2 weeks to decide. The ruling came by mail. In the matter of Hope Diane Shepherd, the court finds that Derek Allen Walsh's parental rights are hereby terminated. Mr. Walsh has demonstrated clear intent to harm the minor child and her mother. His criminal conviction for attempted murder combined with documented plans to use the child as a means of control, constitutes grounds for termination under state law. Hope Diane Shepard will have no legal connection to Derek Allen Walsh. Rebecca Shepard will have sole parental rights and sole custody. I read the ruling 3 times, making sure I understood, making sure it was real. Derek had no rights to Hope, no claim to fatherhood, no legal connection. He was erased from our lives completely. Not just imprisoned, severed, cut off, gone. I cried, relief and victory and disbelief mixing together. It was over, truly over. Hope would never have to know him, never have to visit him, never have to call him father. She was mine, just mine, free from his shadow. Grace and I celebrated with champagne. 1 glass each, a toast to freedom, to victory, to the complete legal separation from Derek Walsh. He's gone, Grace said, completely gone. You won. We won, Hope won. She gets to grow up without his violence touching her life. That's everything. It was everything. 1 year after the assault, I spoke at a domestic violence fundraiser. Hope was 1 year old, walking, talking, thriving, living proof that survival was possible, that children could flourish despite trauma, that cycles could be broken. I told my story, not leading with trauma, but with wisdom, not focusing on victimhood, but on strength, not dwelling on Derek, but on survival. People ask if I regret my marriage, if I wish I'd left sooner. Here's the truth. I can't regret the path that led to my daughter. I can't wish away experiences that made me who I am now. But I can use those experiences to help others avoid the same pain. I talked about red flags, about isolation and control and jealousy disguised as love, about the cycle of abuse and why leaving is so difficult, about the statistics that show leaving is the most dangerous time. I survived because 1 friend loved me enough to call for help, because 20 strangers did their jobs and became witnesses, because I finally believed I deserved better. The audience listened. Some women cried, some nodded, some took notes. I saw recognition in their faces. Understood I was speaking to women who'd lived similar stories, who needed to know survival was possible. If you're in danger, reach out. If someone you love is being hurt, speak up. Silence protects abusers. Witnesses save lives. After the speech, women approached me, shared their own stories, asked for advice, thanked me for being honest, for giving them hope. 1 woman in particular caught my attention. Young, maybe 25, bruises barely hidden under makeup. "How did you find the courage to leave?" she asked. I didn't find courage. Courage found me through witnesses, through people who saw what I was hiding and refused to let me stay silent. "Do you need help?" She nodded, tears streaming down her face. I gave her every resource I had, hotline numbers, shelter information, legal aid contacts, Agent Brennan's direct number, everything that might save her life. "You can survive this," I told her. "It seems impossible right now, but possible, I guess, that exists on the other side of impossible. I'm proof." She hugged me, thanked me, left with phone numbers clutched in her hand. I didn't know if she'd use them, didn't know if she'd leave. Could only hope I'd planted seeds that would grow into action. That night, I sat in Hope's nursery, rocking her before bed, singing lullabies my mother had sung to me, watching my daughter drift towards sleep. "You know what, baby girl," I whispered. "We made it, against all odds, against everything Derek tried to do. We survived, and now we're thriving." Hope's eyes fluttered closed, her breathing evened out, peace on her perfect face, innocence unmarked by violence, safety created through courage and witnesses and refusing to give up. I thought about the woman I'd been a year ago, counting Derek's punches, protecting my belly, thinking I would die. That woman felt like a stranger now, someone I'd known once but no longer recognized. I'd transformed, changed, become someone new, not despite the trauma but through it. Not in spite of Derek, but because surviving him had shown me strength I didn't know existed. Survival isn't pretty. It's not a straight line from victim to victor. It's messy and painful, and sometimes you crawl instead of walk. But every day I chose it myself was victory. Every boundary I maintained was strength. Every moment I lived without fear was freedom. I wasn't the woman I'd been before Derek. I wasn't the woman I'd been during the marriage. I wasn't even the woman I'd been the night of the assault. I was the woman who survived, who chose life over fear, who broke the cycle, who protected her daughter, who built something new from the wreckage, who found strength in the broken places. And that woman? She was powerful beyond measure. Hope stirred in my arms, made the small sounds babies make when dreaming. I held her closer, breathed in her baby smell, felt her warmth and life and perfection. I love you, I whispered. More than anything. You're my whole world, my reason for everything. And I promise you'll only ever know love, only ever know safety, only ever know that your mother will protect you with everything she has. The baby settled, completely asleep now, trusting, safe, loved. I placed her gently in the crib, covered her with the soft blanket Grace had made, turned on the nightlight that cast stars across the ceiling, stood in the doorway watching her breathe. This was victory, not Derek's 40-year sentence, not the guilty verdicts, not even the termination of his parental rights. This moment, this peace, this safety, this tiny human sleeping without fear, this was victory. I'd survived the worst and built the best. From 87 punches came infinite love. From attempted murder came new life. From darkness came light. Derek tried to destroy us. Instead, he destroyed only himself. We remained. We thrived. We lived. That was the ultimate justice. Not revenge, not punishment, not even legal consequences. Living well, living free, living without fear. That was victory. That was power. That was everything. I turned off the nursery light, left the door cracked open, went to my own room, my own bed, my own space, mine. Everything was mine now. My choices, my future, my life. No one to ask permission from, no one to fear, no one to manage or appease or survive. Just me and hope, and the chosen family we'd built, and the future we'd create together. We'd survived, and now we were going to live, really live, actually live, the way I'd never lived before. Free, strong, powerful, whole. Derek was wrong about one thing. I didn't just survive without him. I flourished, bloomed, became someone better than I'd ever been with him. His final words in the courthouse had been meant to haunt me. You'll never survive without me. But I did more than survive. I transformed, and that transformation was complete. I was Rebecca Shepherd, mother, survivor, protector, fighter, builder of new things, breaker of cycles. Woman who'd counted 87 punches and lived to tell about it. Woman who'd protected her baby through violence and brought her safely into the world. Woman who'd testified, fought, won. I was powerful. I was free. I was exactly who I needed to be. And tomorrow I'd wake up and do it all again. Care for hope, take classes, build my life, keep surviving, keep thriving, keep living. One day at a time, one moment at a time, one choice at a time, choosing myself, choosing hope, choosing freedom. That was the story. That was the victory. That was everything. We made it, baby girl. We both made it. And we were going to be just fine. If Rebecca's story touched you, if it made you think differently about domestic violence, or if you know someone who needs to hear that survival is possible, I have a favor to ask. Hit that like button. Not for me, but for every woman counting punches in silence. Every person who thinks they're alone. Every survivor who needs to know their story matters. Drop a comment below. Share your thoughts. Your own story if you're comfortable. Or simply write, I hear you, so other survivors know this community sees them. And please, share this video. You never know who in your life might need to hear Rebecca's story, who might be hiding bruises, who might be planning to leave but doesn't think they can. Your share could be the witness that saves a life. Finally, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. We tell stories that matter. Stories about real people facing impossible situations and finding the courage to survive. Stories that remind us we're stronger than we know. Rebecca counted to 87 and lived to tell about it. Her daughter Hope is thriving. The cycle is broken. That's the power of witnesses. That's the power of speaking up. That's the power of survival. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being the kind of person who believes survivors and stands with them. See you in the next story.